Applying test optional? Here's what's truly not optional. In response to COVID-19 and the ensuing standardized test cancellations throughout the spring, summer, and even into the fall, a greater number of colleges are going test optional for the class of 2021. Some schools have indicated that this policy may extend into next year's admissions cycle or beyond. For students unable to take the SAT or ACT this application cycle, the test optional policy offers some consolation. But what does this mean for your application? Let's take a look. We've been saying repeatedly that when a college goes test optional, that doesn't mean the school won't consider your scores. Paradoxically, when schools have gone test optional in non-pandemic years, not only did the majority of applicants continue to submit scores, but also score averages actually went up. Students submitting test scores have, in fact, sent in higher scores. If your SAT or ACT scores fall within a college's mid-50% range, especially if they fall in the upper half of this range or higher, submit. There have been many articles written about standardized test scores coupled with high school GPA are together a better predictor of first-year college success than a high school GPA alone. Furthermore, test optional doesn't mean test blind. That is, it doesn't mean a school won't consider your scores at all. All signs point to test scores as another plus in your application. If you can safely test and get the scores you need, go ahead and submit. If you're unable to test, however, how will you make your application stand out? It begins by understanding how colleges look at your application. First and foremost, they will look at course rigor and academic performance. Senior year is not the time to slack off. We trust that you're taking a full schedule of core classes. At the highest level, you can comfortably manage. If not, it's never too late to add an extra core academic course to your schedule, especially if it's AP and online. Review your activities list and craft a descriptive, insightful resume based around your most meaningful involvements in and out of school, highlighting leadership and initiative. Your resume and activity descriptions are a great way to market yourself to a college, showing how you'll eventually have a positive impact on your campus community. And don't forget your essays. Most colleges require the personal essay, and many schools ask for additional supplemental essays. Not only should these essays be carefully written and free from errors, but they should also offer an engaging narrative and express your unique voice. Admissions counselors will often comment on the most memorable essays they've ever read, and these aren't about winning a state championship. Find a topic that's truly yours. A story that no one else could write. That will help your application stand out. When writing the supplemental essays, continue to apply an engaging writing style and voice. Writing a Why This College essay. Make sure to highlight your match for the university in very specific terms and how you'll contribute to the student body. Not every school accepts letters of recommendations, but for those that do, make sure you seek out recommenders who will write you strong anecdotal recommendations. To make sure they craft a glowing letter, spend time with your recommenders, reviewing the ways in which you grew as a student and also contributed to your classmates' learning experience. A well-written letter of recommendation can provide further insight and context, adding another meaningful dimension to a test-optional application. Last, there's a conundrum facing many students. What if I have test scores and scheduled future test dates? Do I opt for test optional or not? Indeed, many universities are asking this question on their applications, forcing students to make a decision and often without the option to change their minds. A few tips. As noted above, if your scores fall within the mid-50% range, preferably on the higher end, submit. If your scores are below this range and you have no future tests scheduled, perhaps selecting test optional is the better choice. What if your scores are below the mid-50% range, but you have future tests scheduled? Consider waiting until you get back at least one more set of scores before deciding, if you have time before the application is due. Prepare all other parts of the application so it's ready to go. And when in doubt, call the school and ask about its test optional policy to find out if you can change your mind after submitting the application. Need help in making your test optional application stand out? Give us a call. Our college counseling team specializes in helping students determine all their options throughout the college application cycle and stand out in the applicant pool. Test scores or no, you'll still score at the top.